Let's continue our conversation of supply and demand. We're going to talk about producer surplus. Now, we have already talked about the supply curve and the demand curve, and we've talked about the equilibrium point. Additionally, we have talked about consumer surplus, and now we're going to talk about producer surplus. Let's start with the definition. Producer surplus is the difference between the equilibrium price the producer is paid and the lowest price the producer is willing to accept. We are going to go back to our sneaker example, and this is from the vantage point of the sneaker sellers. Now, as a person who would sell vintage sneakers, it's easy to source from personal collections, but finding additional authentic pairs is going to be harder and harder. So that will play more into how much you're willing to accept for each pair. Now, according to this supply curve, the lowest price that the producer is willing to accept is $92. But we found the equilibrium price of 6 pairs was $152. That is a difference of $60 in surplus. That's money above what we needed to be willing to sell. Now, graphically, we have this blue shaded area under the curve. This is the amount that we are willing to sell. But we actually get this whole amount right here. So we get above and beyond what we're willing to sell the shoes for. So this section here that is above the curve but under the total price, that is going to be the producer surplus. The goal is to find the area of this piece that I've highlighted in yellow, and that's going to be the difference between the lowest price the producer is willing to accept, that's here, and the equilibrium price, which is up here. Now, if we look at this visually, just as shapes, to find the area of that yellow piece, I'm going to find the area of the rectangle, and then I'm going to subtract out the shaded region. So that will leave me this little yellow piece here. Let's go ahead and work out this problem using calculus. So first I want to find the area of this rectangle, which is not too hard to do. It's easy to find the area of a rectangle. It's just base times height. The base is 6 and the height is 152. So the area of the rectangle will just be 6 times 152. Now I need to find the area under the curve. And we have learned that the area under the curve is just the antiderivative of that function. Well, that function is our supply curve, which we had from the problem statement in a previous video, which was q squared plus 4q plus 92, all dq. We're going to evaluate this from 0 to 6, since that is our input values. So now we have it set up, we just have to solve it. 6 times 152 is 912 minus the antiderivative of this function is going to be q cubed over 3 plus 4 over 2q squared, and that would simplify to be 2q squared plus 92q. And then I'm going to evaluate that from 0 to 6. This equals 912 minus, and then I will put in the 6 everywhere I see a q. So 6 cubed over 3 plus 2 times 6 squared plus 92 times 6. Then I'll subtract the function evaluated at q equals 0. Well, if I put 0 into this function, I'm just going to get 0 for each term. Now, with a little bit of calculator work, I get $216. This is the seller's gain in profit. This is the amount that the seller receives beyond their minimum acceptable price. The next question says, if you were a sneaker collector with $150 to spend, would you be able to participate in the market at this equilibrium? And the answer here would be no, we're $2 shy. Okay, now let's put everything we just did into some notes. What we just did is called producer surplus, and producer surplus goes with the supply curve. Graphically, we have our quantity here and our price here, and here we have the supply curve. To find the surplus, we just need to first find the area of the rectangle, and then we'll subtract off the area under the curve. That will give us the surplus. Now, mathematically, that is going to be this function right here. We're going to do Q times P for our specific problem. Then we're going to subtract off the integral from 0 to Q of that supply curve. And that is our producer surplus.